Hi, my Flat Earth family. How are you? I'm just going to give it a minute here. Oh, it is 7 o'clock, so we're doing pretty good. So, had a very busy week. Just wanted to let you know what happened this week. I got down to the town where my co-op is. That was very exciting. I am going to go back there. And there's also someplace else that I want to go now that I figured that out. I want to go to New Hope. And it's a funny thing, too, because Lambertville is right across the bridge. And that's where we used to have our meetups. And so someone else scheduled a meetup, Linda, and she scheduled it in New Hope, and I went to it. And I said, holy cow, there's a lot of people here. So I'm thinking, yeah, New Hope's going to get flat smacked really one of these days very soon. Because every weekend that's nice. And if I had thought about it, I mean, I would have taken my banners today and we could have gone out on the street. But I didn't do that. I failed. But that's okay. Because we fail forward to success, right? That's one way to look at it. So, there's a video I wanted you to take a quick look at. It's right here. So, what we do, the street teachers, what we do is very similar to street preachers. So, even though I don't go out and talk about the Bible or religion or that, things like that, we still encounter the same sort of controversy and attacks and whatnot from people. So this video here, and I watched some of those videos to get ideas on how to handle difficult people. And it's a good thing to watch those. That's where Dave Gessner from flatearth101.com, that's where he got the information on the... Hi, Mikey. How are you? I'm going to be talking about you in a little bit, near the end of the hour. Dave Gessner was watching Jesse. His name is Jesse, and he's a street preacher. And that's where Dave got all the information on the laws. So it's really good to watch those things. And some of them, they even put out videos on how to train your voice to last a long time. Because these street preachers, some of them use a microphone or a bullhorn. Some of them don't. They just stand on a box and just talk loudly for hours. And so you can train your voice to last for hours. So it's very interesting to watch those things. I think you ought to all get some hints from that. But let me just show you a little bit of this video. The name of this video is, Will You Let Drunkards Scare You Away from Preaching? So it's by TeamJesusPreachers. I'm going to play some of this, and I'm going to see if you can see it.
Yourself. You are asking. God bless you. No, I don't need God to bless me. Because I wake up every day knowing that God is with me. Okay? I can search your mind that way.
It's very windy there, so the audio is not real good.
I don't need no bullshit. Get aggressive with me. God bless me. I don't need aggressive. You're approaching very aggressive. My life is about God. I wake up every day. I put my feet on the ground.
Do you notice how he's turning with the drunk guy is turning every time the preacher tries to get away from him? The drunk guy's following him.
But we wake up every day with a funeral ground. You may not understand that Jesus saves you. Whatever the fuck this shit means, I don't get it.
Now comes the foul language.
Right. That was a real place. You understand one thing in one moment. You go to bed tonight, and you wake up tomorrow morning.
That's worse.
You had a good night. True. So I don't need Jesus. Yeah, you need Jesus. No, there comes a day when you die. No, yeah, when I die, I'll need him. When I don't need you to reach on this fucking beach.
Don't need you to preach on this effing beach. That might be a little noisy. Oh, but it's...
I go to bed every night. So you're not saved, sir. All this bullshit you're preaching. You're not saved, sir. That's my concern. You're not saved. You're not born again. You must be born again.
Yeah.
Born again? It's a commandment of Jesus. No, unless you're born again.
See, you can tell that he's drunk. There was another part, and they bleep out on these videos. They bleep out everybody that has a like some of the bathing suits on those beaches are like non-existent. So they do block those out, so you don't see that. This is near the end of the video. It really gets like raunchy. Oh, no, I'm not going to play that. Anyway, it's bad. It's very bad. And so there's that. And I wanted to talk to you about some of this because we get some, not that bad, but we get some people who are a little ignorant and get nasty, and not that anything bad has ever happened to me. The worst thing was the guy who came to well, no, last year on the Ocean City Boardwalk, there was one guy there who got me a little upset, and I got in his face because he got in my face. But up here at the firehouse, the Sanatoga, when that guy in the black shirt that said astronaut on it, and he came back, I was glad that those fire guys were there, and they came up and told him to move on. See, if it was just me, I think that guy was going to start something really bad with me. So I'm glad that they were there. So the language, what do you do with the language? I mean, people, now these guys were drunk on the beach there. So what do you do? Language really is, when you start using foul language, you really set yourself really low. It means you can't think. It means you have a limited vocabulary. It really looks as though you are not very intelligent. If you can only think of 4-letter words to use, then you're not in control of your thoughts. So if you're not in control of your thoughts, then you're not in control. And being in control of yourself, that shows intelligence and you're thinking clearly. But if you are just getting wild and throwing the F word around, you don't look very intelligent. You look really stupid. So there's some people I know that use the language like that all the time, as though it's a matter of course. And they really look very unintelligent. They look stupid. They sound stupid. So I am going to encourage you to not use foul language. When I'm really frustrated, now when I was down in Ambler, I remember I was looking for this card I wanted to show him, and I said the S word, and I will say crap, But see, when I'm frustrated, I'm not prepared, then that shows my weakness. And that's when bad language would come out, right? So what is it when you say it all the time? When you say bad language all the time, what does that mean? It means you're never in control of yourself. What does that really mean? It really shows something to other people. So you can go look at that video yourself. Will you let drunkards scare you away from preaching ? By TeamJesusPreachers. So those are some interesting videos. Okay. All right. On June 5th, in the last show on the 4th of June, someone in the chat said, relative density is a force. Now, come on. All right. Relative density is not a force. Okay. Let's have 1, 2, 3. And I think there was only 3, maybe 4 elements. So you have water, oil, detergent. Okay, whatever these are. So if you have 3 things here. Now, these things all have different densities. Okay? They all have a different density. The relative density is where they are in relation to each other. Okay? So if you have these 3 elements and you're in that 0G plane, do you remember that video from last week, the 0G plane? And I'll put it in the description. And they're all just like mixed up. They're all free flowing, and there is no way to tell one from another. They are still different fluids, and they still have density, but they are not demonstrating that density in relation to one to another. Okay? That relative density cannot happen without something affecting those fluids. The relative density does not demonstrate. I won't say it doesn't exist, because even when they're all mixed up at the 0G plane, they still exist. They still have their own densities, but they're all mixed up. Okay? All you need is something to affect them, to put them in a demonstrable relative position one to another. What will do that? Some sort of a downward force. I think it's a push down. I think it's a diamagnetism. Okay? That's the only thing that can put those elements into a relative position one to another. Relative density is non-existent without a force. So don't get caught in that trap. That trap will ensnare you and get you kind of going in circles. So don't do that. Don't let anybody make up words. Oh, I can't believe this. There's something else. Making up words. And I'll get to that down here. All right, so don't let anybody make up words and get you confused, in a state of flux, in a state of not knowing where you are. Okay? Don't let anybody just make up words. That's called conjuring, spells. That's what that is. Okay? And every discipline, this is the whole trick about disciplines that you would learn in college. Your degree is in a certain discipline. They all have buzzwords. You know, any one of us, you know, if you don't have an objection to seeing blood, any one of us could be a doctor, really. If you don't like blood, if you don't like cutting into live flesh, then you probably wouldn't seek to do that. But it's really not that difficult to learn about things, to learn about what the stomach does, what the kidneys do, what the colon does. It's not that difficult. You just have to learn the buzzwords, the vocabulary. When you learn the vocabulary, then you sound intelligent because you're not using 4-letter words, right? I was just telling someone that today. She said, well, when she talks to her relatives about the flat earth, she says things like, look, I can see that. And I said, well, try saying it differently so you sound more intelligent. Say it like, how can this happen? How can there be a curve when there's a direct line of sight? It just sounds different than, oh, I can see that. See? So we need to step up our game and learn some of the language that is going to sound more intelligent to these people who are real snobs. And they have this piece of paper and they think that they're smarter than everybody else. And that's just not true. That is not true. Like I said before, I really appreciate it when somebody tells me they are an engineer or physicist, or I love going after those people. And it's not because I'm any smarter. It's just because I know what they don't know. So I have an advantage, and they don't know. So all I have to do is tell them 3 things they don't know, and they're going to go away scratching their head. They might get mad at me because their whole foundation, I don't want to get into this. I want to wait till later because I have that on the sheet here. So foul language. The foul language, if you use foul language, it really hurts yourself. In the Bible, in Scripture, it says that we're supposed to forgive people. Okay, why are we forgiving people? Does that let them off the hook? Does that mean they're a good person? Is that me telling the world that, oh yeah, this guy didn't hurt me? No, none of the above. In order for us to stay healthy, we have to remain in a slightly alkaline state. And if we have anger in our heart, it makes us acidic. And we get acidic, we get sick. That's why God tells us to forgive. And he will handle them. He will take care of them. Now, does that mean we don't, you know, we just forget what they did and just go do it again? Well, I don't know. I've been struggling with that one myself. And for a long time, I thought, okay, so I will forgive them if they ask me to forgive them. If they want forgiveness. Well, of course you would do that. If somebody came and said, oh, gee, I'm really sorry, forgive me. Well, of course you forgive them. But holding on to anger, forgiveness is also letting that anger go. And God is saying that not for the other guy, it's for us. Same way with foul language. Foul language keeps you in a state of like negativity and maybe even depression. So let that foul language go. Just say a prayer that you're going to let that go. Let the foul language out of your life. And you're going to just try and be more careful with your words. You're going to choose your words more carefully. Maybe you want to start a little program to start learning some new words. Maybe they'll have 5 letters. Just kidding. Okay. Now here's something that everybody can do. Anybody's on Facebook? All right, listen to this. This is so easy. You can all do this. And when I first started doing this, I would get a lot of, you're crazy, and a lot of laughter and, oh, you're nuts, you know, the whole deal. When you're on Facebook, you get notified of your friends' birthdays, right? Like, oh, 6 people have birthdays today. Wish them well. I go in there, and on the top line, I type in happy flat earth birthday exclamation point. Then I backtrack it, holding down the shift button, I backtrack it, copy it, and then I go to the end, and then I enter, and it goes down to the next line. Then I do the Control V, which means to paste, and I go right down there. Control V, enter. Control V, enter. And I wish everybody a happy flat earth birthday. Well, I've been doing that for 2 years, more than 2 years. Guess what? I very, very seldom now, I've seen a big change. Very seldom now do I get any kind of negative comments. Very seldom. Most of them are thanks and, you know, happy birthday, happy flat earth, you know, birthday. They like that. So they make comments now, and it's great. I'm really seeing a real change, you know. So I would like to challenge you all to say happy flat earth birthday to every one of your friends on Facebook. It's easy to do. Okay. So the next video I wanted to tell you about was, and this is like, let me give you a little background on this. When I was young, I became a Christian very early, and I'm not even sure I exactly knew everything that it entailed. I was not baptized as a believer. My mother baptized me as an infant. But I have since been baptized as a believer. I got a Bible from the church I was going to. And I just thought in myself that this is practical everyday knowledge, and I should apply it to my everyday life and do it in a practical way. And just that thing I just told you about forgiving because it gets the anger and the acidity out of our life so we can be slightly alkaline and be healthier, right? And so I always thought that the Bible is a practical book. And in the front, I even wrote Human Being Owner's Manual years and years ago. Now, I long since have heard other people say they did that, but I will show you my Bible from long ago. And so something came up just a couple days ago, and I wanted to tell you about this. It's a video called A Brief History of Biomagnetic Healing Through the Centuries. And that is by A Plain Truth 2. A Plain Truth 2. What? Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I'm on the phone, honey. What's the problem? Okay. My daughter wanted me to meet somebody. I can't do it right now. Okay. I don't know if you can see this. A Plain Truth 2. There you go. That is the channel. And he does a lot about the fires in California and the Orville Dam. And he's recently got interested in this biomagnetic healing. What I found very, very interesting about this was the very first picture that's on the video. It's about Jesus, and he's kneeling in front of someone, and he has their foot in his hand. And this whole thing about biomagnetics is with the soles of your feet. And just the word like soul and soul, what we knew as a soul, maybe that's what was really the idea. And then we were taught something else, that it meant something else, that we kind of missed it, thinking it was a mystical spiritual thing and not a physical reality. You understand what I'm saying? So if Jesus had healing hands, and I have heard about people who could heal by touch because they have such a way of controlling the flow of electricity in their own body. So the laying on of hands is reality. It's not a mystical thing. It can be measured. It actually is something. And it's not one of those things that they mock today. You know, those faith healers today. They aren't doing it right. They're just making a mockery of it. And they are so wealthy that you've got to know that they're part of the parasitic controllers to mock us, to turn everything scripture into something that should be mocked, you know, to make it ridiculous, make it sound ridiculous. When in reality, it really is something that is for our good, that we could, you know, benefit from health-wise. So when Jesus is really, we know the practice as washing the feet. Well, maybe Jesus was putting his hands on the feet and drawing the magnetics and lining up the electrical impulses through the body and healing the disciples before he left the earth. And I just said, that's it. That's it. I just knew right away that that was truth, because it was not a meaningless practice. It was not meaningless. It was not just to show humility. It wasn't that. It was more, much more than that. And we're being told that it's just a ritual. But what does the Bible say? The Bible says stay away from rituals. Don't do that. So start thinking of things in the Bible in a different way. Well, why would they do that? Could it be something else is connected with what they're doing that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense? You know what I'm saying? So watch that video, because it is just excellent. It's called A Brief History of Biomagnetic Healing Through the Centuries. And A Plain Truth, that's all one word, A Plain Truth 2, number 2. He put that out. So I just thought that was such a really good video. I'm really excited about that. I mentioned it to and forwarded it to other people. So Yeah, take a look at that. I'll try and put that in the description as well. All right. Now there's this, I hate to say it the way I'm going to say it, but I just really like this guy. And he's just a gruffy guy from the UK. And he talks about Brexit and like some of the politics that's going on in the UK. And I just like listening to him. He's just a little go-getter, and I just like that kind of guy, that attitude. So he has a video called "Never Underestimate Your Power to Effect Real Change" by Ian R. Crane, Crane. So Ian R. Crane, and it's never underestimate your power to effect real change. He has had some people on there who have gone through trials, and I just think he's just awesome. I really like him. And the title of that, never underestimate your power to effect real change. Just the title of that. Just that's what we do, don't we? We often do that. We underestimate what we can do. So well, that'll never happen. I'll never, it's just me. I'm just one person. I hear that so much. Yeah, but what if a lot of us get together and we just say, we're not doing this anymore? I mean, that would be a big difference. And it's going to happen one person at a time. So I think we can all affect real change. And I'm going to encourage you to get out there and hit the streets and really start talking to people. I hope you've gotten some cards now from flatearth101.com and really just start handing them out. Just hand them out. When you're walking down the street, go on the boardwalk, go on vacation, put them in the bathrooms, anywhere you go, and just start doing it. Please start doing it. You can affect that change. You can do it. You can do it. So there's another guy I listened to, another video. It's called Maturing Spiritually by Pastor Charles Lawson. Now, Charles Lawson, he has put out some things about flat Earth. And he says, well, I'm not saying I believe it, but I think you ought to look into it. And that's how he says it. See, he's not going to stand at the pulpit and say, this is true, or boom. He's not going to tell you how to think. But he is going to say to his church, and it's a fairly decent sized church from what I could tell. He's going to say, well, I'm not going to say I believe it, but I think you ought to look into it. So what's that saying? Can you imagine hearing that from your preacher in church? Can you imagine? I could never imagine hearing that. Something about flat Earth, something about the government lying, something about, it's just, wow. I would just go to that church. I would flock there. And I haven't found one yet. I thought I had found one. I told you that before. But 10 of us, and they were some of my friends, and we all went to this church because they would talk about the government. Well, they didn't want to hear about flat Earth. And there was other things going on that my friends were picking up. And just about the same, within 2 weeks, 10 of us left because we all had our own separate thing that we didn't like, that we didn't appreciate. And this pastor was better than tons. He went to an abortion rally in D.C., Washington, D.C. So he was far better than many. And I liked his preaching, sure, but there was things that came up And even for a little church, there was the same, like, you know, hens. I'll call them hens. You know, the women that just want to run everything and don't allow people to come in and do something because they have to be in charge. You know, I'm not into that. I don't have time for that. So anyway, okay. So maturing spiritually. This goes to the using language. Let's mature. Let's grow up. Okay? Let's grow up. Let's use better language. Let's be who they need. We are here to deliver a message, but they aren't going to listen to us unless we speak their language. And this is just about the same kind of thing as the Tower of Babel. Because when you start talking to a physicist, they speak a different language, don't they? So we need to learn some of that language in order to reach them. In order to reach them. And we can do that. We can mature. We can grow up. We can do it. We can do that. Can't we? Awesome. Okay. So last week, I was talking fairly sternly to some people who claim to be flat earthers and do no outreach. So I had to talk sternly to them, saying I'm not going to put up with that baloney anymore. Right? So now I'm going to talk to all of the sincere flat earthers who are not yet out there on the streets talking to strangers. And I'm going to have to tell you that you have been given a gift. You've been given a gift by the Creator. The Bible said we had scales on our eyes. Well, we didn't know that. We didn't know there was anything wrong with us. We didn't think that we are any different than anybody else. Let me see if that's better. Yeah, it's better. We just were going our daily life, being like everybody else. And all of a sudden one day, the scales were lifted from our eyes. You do realize that, right? Well, you do realize that we didn't do that. We didn't do that to ourselves because we didn't know there was scales on our eyes, right? So you have to know that the Creator lifted those scales from your eyes. Now, why would He go and do that? Why would He do that? Well, it's because He chose you. He chose you for a very special mission. He chose you because you had something that He wanted to use to reach somebody that you can reach. Do you understand that? Now, I don't know who it is, and you probably don't know who it is, but there's somebody very special that the Creator wants you to reach with this message. And that's why He chose you. Now, that would mean, since you already know the earth is flat, that you're special too, for some reason. And God only knows. Because if you looked at my life, there's nothing special. I'm just a sinner saved by grace. So there's really nothing special about me. There's a lot of other people who are more talented. They can stand on their hands, something I can't do. So why me? Well, I don't know that we will know. We may not ever know until we get to heaven with him. But he does have a mission for you, and he chose you out of love. He did not choose you so you could be hurt by your family. He did not choose you so you could be harmed. He did not choose you so you could be in eternal torture. He wants you with him. So knowing that, I want to address my dear friend Mike. Yesterday, he had a terrible day, and he was so hurt, and my heart went out to him. I called him today, and he's doing much better. But I let him know that he was chosen for this message, to deliver it. But he gets upset that, his sisters talk down to him because they all have teaching degrees. Well, you got to know that teachers are the snobbiest people. They get their nose straight up in the air, and they think that they are so smart. They're smarter than everybody else. And I think part of that is the school administration. They do this to the teachers. They tell them those things. And the teachers start to believe it, that they're smarter than everybody else. So they look down upon everybody. So I know it hurts when your relatives and family say mean things that intend to hurt you. But that doesn't mean that you have to take it in. Don't take it in. Don't allow those words to come in. Put a hedge of protection around you. It is not what goes into a man that defiles him, it's what comes out. So if you hear these things that they're saying about you, just pity them, because you see how it's coming out of them and it looks so ugly. Just don't let it come out of you. In fact, what I suggested was that you, exactly what they say to you, turn that right around and say it back to them so they can hear it. Now, that sounds like I'm contradicting myself, I know. But if you say it just exactly the way they said it, and then say, do you realize that's what you said to me? Then it's not your words, it's their words coming back to them. Like a little tape recorder, right? Yeah, and you can perfectly say that. I don't know exactly what kind of things they were saying, but it was the tone and that kind of thing. So ask, when people get nasty with you, ask for clarification. The one guy down at Ambler Friday night, he says, why are they doing this? Why would they do this? And I'm there, well, NASA gets $52 million a day. Then he goes, But you didn't ask me. Why are they doing? I'm there. Wait a minute. Wait. The $52 million a day has no effect on you? You don't think that's significant? So ask them what they mean by what they're saying. Okay? And don't take the victim position. When somebody says something negative to you and you let that come in and it stabs you in the heart, you're playing the victim. Don't do that. Don't be a victim. Don't. You are a child of the Most High Creator. You are chosen by the Creator to give this message to others. So why are you acting like a doormat? No. Don't act like a doormat. Somebody attacks you, just turn it around and say it right back and say, that's what you said. You see how effective that could be? Oh, so you're saying da. Just what they said. Exactly repeat it back. And they will see, oh, gee, that sounded horrible. If you say it first and then they don't know if you're repeating what they said or not. Yeah, that's what you said to me just now. You said that way. Oh, well, maybe they'll back off a step or two. Now, Mike had a problem. I know one thing he said, his sister said something about satellites. And my suggestion would be that you can explain LORAN. LORAN was the military tracking system before GPS. Another thing you can do is what I did. I made a video and I sent the card and it's not here. It's the postcard size cards. And I took labels and I put the label on the front and I put the address of my relatives. And on the back, I put a label and I said, watch this video. And I did it on my printer. So it came out very nice. And I have a video on activist tools or teachers tools. So you can see that, how I did that. And if you put a little label up where the stamp goes, then they can cancel the stamp and they'll send it. Right? I went to the post office and checked that all out. So it's legit. So write them a letter. I made a video and told my relatives to watch the video. And at the end of my video, I gave them the whole thing on the banners. All the evidence that I have on the banners, I laid it out all for them. So there's no excuse. No excuse. Won't that be a sad day on Judgment Day when they're in front of God and they have no excuse? So let's get busy so they won't have to fear that day. Okay? If you don't like a video, you can write them a letter. Most people will read a letter. Yeah, especially if it's handwritten. Handwrite a letter. Keep it short and sweet. Just give them 3 facts, 3 things. You might want to put one of the pamphlets in there if they read the 3 things. And you could say, it's number 3 on this pamphlet out of 10. They might look at that. They might like to look at the pictures. So write them a letter. Write a short letter. Don't go into too much of poor me. Don't say that. Just say, come at them from a position of authority and say, I have been trying to tell you these things, and as your family, as my family, I love you, and I don't want you to be deceived. Here are 3 things that you can prove for yourself. And keep it down to the water, curvature, and pick something else that you like, whatever. The curvature formula, give some things, 3 things they don't know. And I think they will read the letter. Handwrite it. Don't do a computer thing. It will look more personal. Yeah. So, and talking about upside down. I have to reiterate this. I don't like talking about the upside down stuff because it just sounds like you're mocking them. And that's why I stay away from it. Whenever we see the upside down thing, we kind of laugh, don't we? So that's why I kind of stay away from it. Some people like that, but I just don't. It's a personal thing maybe with me, but that's why I don't like it. Okay. There's one more video I just wrote down here at the bottom. The real reason David Lynn was arrested. Christ Forgiveness channel. The real reason David Lynn was arrested. He's a Black Street preacher. And he was preaching against homosexuality at a pride rally. I don't know that I would do that. Because they really, if you want to see some real opposition, watch that video, because that is the worst that you will ever, I don't think we'll get any of that. We, as flat earthers, if we're just out there, we're not like, they don't even realize that the information we are giving them is really about scripture, about the creator. We are just talking science. We're just talking science, comparing 2 different models of the universe. They don't realize it. I mean, I think we could successfully talk to gay pride event and they would never object. It's just science, right? So I don't think we'll run into any of those kinds of things. But early in my work, I did have some situations where the police were called and, they came and made a big whoop-de-doo, but I was never hauled off or arrested or, I even flat smacked the cops. And so, maybe they're just thinking because it's such a strange thing and there's this woman talking about this strange stuff that maybe there's something strange about her. So they don't know. Not all cops are bad. Okay? Not all cops are bad. So don't approach cops like they're bad without giving them a chance first to be flat smacked. Okay. So I did go down to a meetup today, and I think what I'm going to keep in mind is if there's any other meetups, I'm going to make sure I take my banners and I'm going to say, come on, guys, let's get out on the street. Especially because today we went to New Hope. And I'm thinking, holy cow, I had to park a quarter of a mile down the street. And there was people and people and people like walking around the streets. I'm there, oh, holy cow, where's my banners? So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be going to New Hope soon. Now, let me see where there it is. Who's on the chat today? Mikey Smith. Cool. And John Oddity and Flat Earth is New Jerusalem. What me worry? Sandoff. Who else? Let me see. Anne's Eyes on the Truth. Stanley Bitmead. 28 watching now, but some have come and gone. Walter Williams, Adam Walsh. Okay, that looks like it's good. I'll read these comments in a little bit, and if there's anything that I need to address, I'll get to it next week. But just wanted to tell you guys that you are very special, and you've been given a message, and you need to deliver that message. So you were chosen for this mission. So let's get to our mission. Let's get out there and do that. Let's start talking to the people we don't know. And the family, they may have to hear it from somebody else. Okay? So don't think that you have to be the one to touch your family. It might come from somebody else. If you're having a party, invite me and I will come and meet your family. I'm kidding. All right, guys. Love you all. Have a great week. Glad you tuned in. See ya. Bye.